All right, so as you guys can see, I'm sitting here eating breakfast. You also seen that it's like super cold outside this morning. It is 9 degrees. The wind is blowing slightly, probably 4 or 5 miles an hour. So if I had to take a wild guess, I would say that the temperature is probably hovering around 0 degrees with the wind chill. We only get cold weather like this like once or twice a season in Georgia. It's not a very common thing to see temperatures in the single digits or down in the negatives with wind chill factors. But it is a very cold, it is a very wet cold, high humidity. So everything frosts over, heavy ice everywhere. It's just a cold that settles into your bones. We're going to eat breakfast here, let the car warm up for a bit, and then we're going to head out for a hike today. You guys stay tuned. So we're going to double check the pack here and rearrange some things. So this is my cook bag. Got a couple snacks in here, stove, gas, fuel, all that good stuff. If you're not familiar with these RX bars, these things are delicious, really good for you. Some bacon and sausage left over from breakfast we're going to throw in here just in case if I decide I want some snacks. North Face gloves. This is probably going to be a must out here. So also knee brace. My knee is actually healed mostly from the Georgia Loop hike. I haven't been having to wear a brace for probably the last 4 days. It's been feeling pretty good. So, but where we're going today, I have a feeling that I may need it by the end of the day. So we're going to go ahead and throw it in there. Also, usually I keep my BeFree in the side pouch, but what I'll usually do is I'll fill it up before we leave or before I leave to go on a hike. That way, this is my bottle and my purifier. But today's a little bit different because it is so cold outside, and I don't think it's going to be getting much above 25 degrees, probably much above 20 degrees where I'm going to be. I'm nervous that this is going to freeze, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to pack a water bottle, one in my bag, and then I'm going to leave one in the car, and that should be sufficient enough for the trip. I don't know if I'll need these today, but this pack does have a spot here to put hiking poles and carry hiking poles. So I figure it's worth adding them and just keeping them on the pack because I may actually end up using them at some point. And then the last thing is my Garmin. It was on charge overnight. I unplugged it and I just sent out a test message to make sure that it was working. Everything's a go. All the systems are functioning properly. So in the event that I need to use it for an SOS or that I don't have service and I need to contact somebody, I know that it's going to work. I think that's going to cover everything. So let's get on the road. Well, we got to take care of the no fuel problem first. It's always something. Hey, how are you? I have a park pass.
All right, you're good
Awesome.
to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have seen Amicalola Falls almost completely dry. I've seen it at what they would consider flood stage, but I've never been able to catch it frozen. I mentioned earlier that it does get down into single digits a couple times per season, and there's always pictures from this place where the waterfall's frozen up and stuff, and I've always been busy and never been able to make it, so I ended up being free today and wanted to come out and check out the waterfall. And then we're gonna take the hard route. We're gonna go straight up the stairs right in front of the waterfall. We're gonna top out, and then we may jump on the approach trail for a little bit, and then we're gonna circle back around to one of these trails that comes down off the side of Amicalola Mountain on the other side, back down to the new visitor center. So I opted to forego going around the barriers. It ended up being a construction zone, so I didn't want to get in any kind of trouble and kind of make a bad image for myself. So I got in the car, drove up the mountain towards the top of the falls. There's this little pull off here that you can come to and go down, and we are hiking along this very interesting trail that is made up of all kinds of recycled tires, and they basically recycled the tires and then dyed them and then put this compound in them that holds it together. So it's sort of like a paved path, but it's got a spongy feeling to it, so it's actually not too bad on the feet and the knees. Something else that's pretty interesting, this old truck here off the side of the trail, and I actually have a picture of this framed, well, not framed, but ready to be framed, that I took out here from several years ago. The story is this was an old moonshining route, and so all these old cars out here were run off the cliff at some point years and years ago. It's an interesting part of history. All right, here we go. You want to get your knees fired up, this is one way to do it. Now you understand why I brought the knee brace. We made it to the top of the falls, and we're gonna walk down this trail over here. And originally I'd planned to hike all the way back to the visitor center, but that would mean I would have to walk the road all the way back up. So I know there's a couple nice views down here. We're just gonna walk down to the view and check out the view. It's warmed up. It's like 28 degrees and a 4-mile-per-hour wind, so it feels like it's 21. So it's not really a day hike unless you stop to enjoy things, the view and such. So I'm going to sit right here for a little bit and make some tea or coffee and be done with it. I kind of like the way the audio sounds with the external mic. I think what I've noticed though is the mic is so good that if I leave the mic plugged in for all the recording, then it really um, drowns out a lot of the background noise. Sat in the sun for about 45 minutes and was just enjoying it. It's really nice in the sun, actually. As soon as I stepped over here in the shade, it got chilly, but drink a cup of tea and was going to eat one of those RX bars or some of the bacon and sausage I packed, but I just decided to wait because it wasn't that long ago when I ate breakfast. I may chew on that a little bit later, but cleaned up my mess and now we're headed back up to the parking lot and we will adventure down the approach trail. Just crossed the bridge. Now we're on this Forest Service road. Approach trail goes up. I was looking at the map and we're gonna follow the approach trail up and it'll bring me back out on this Forest Service road a little further down and then we'll walk the road back just to make a loop out of it. Had something really cool just happen. So every year I like to follow a couple of thru hikers. I'll go through and I'll pick a couple who I think are different or are doing different types of things than what most modern thru hikers do. I really like people who think outside the box, people who go old school, people who are kind of doing things their own way. And so I started following these guys when they posted their first video about the hike. I don't know why it was in my feed, but it was. And they're going by the names of Captain Jack and Bob Ross. They're northbounders. They started like 2 days after Christmas. And their YouTube channel is called Trippin' Sober. So if you don't follow them or if you haven't heard of them, go check out their videos, give them a like, give them a follow, support those guys as they head northbound. They're experiencing a little bit of trouble, but nothing that I don't think they're going to iron out. Anyways, a few days ago, they put out a video. They were at Around the Bend Hostel, which used to be Top of Georgia Hostel. And they met a southbounder named Easily Forgotten. And Easily Forgotten is a yo-yo hiker. So he's going to finish up southbound and then he's going to take a day off and then he's going to start heading back northbound. And then he will finish sometime later this summer back at Mount Katahdin, probably in June, if I had to guess, or July. But I just met him like 10 minutes ago. We talked for a few minutes and he's like less than a mile from finishing his southbound hike. So Easily Forgotten, big props to you, man. Like you're doing things that a lot of people wish they could do. So congratulations on your on completing your southbound. Now got to turn around and go back north through the Smokies through the dead of winter. So good luck to you, buddy. So I had originally planned to drive up here after I got done walking around the park, but when I was drinking my tea earlier, I realized that you could actually hike the approach up to High Shoals Road and then take a left on High Shoals Road, and it's not very far up High Shoals Road to the church. This is a very interesting church because although it looks modern, this is a very primitive, very off-grid church. There's no power here, and usually these churches are unlocked, which this one is, it looks like. Yep, it's unlocked. It's a thing they do here in the South. They leave these churches unlocked, and people can come in and sit and worship if they want, or if they need a place to get out of the weather, they can. You can see here, this is old school oil lamps. So that's how they light the place. Some older pictures, which is pretty neat. Very cool primitive church here. Check out this picture. It's a very interesting place for sure. And it's cool that they leave it unlocked and let people come in, and just took some time and looked through the composition notebook in the visitor's box. Another thing that a lot of these old churches do down here in the South is they'll put out boxes like that with notebooks in them, and there's also on the side some pens, so you can go in and you can read other people's entries and you can make your own entry. I'll go down here and see if I can find the oldest grave in the cemetery. All right, so that was High Shoals Baptist Church. Always a good visit. Interesting to walk around in the graveyard and see the oldest graves. And so the oldest death date that I could find in that graveyard was 1889. Was a Reverend Reuben McClure. We have quite a walk back to the top of the falls. I have two choices. I can either jump back on the approach trail and hike it all the way back around, or I can stay on the Forest Service Road. I'm gonna opt to stay on the Forest Service Road just so that I can see something different while I'm out here. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the Forest Road walk, so I will catch up with you guys again when I get back to the top of the waterfall. So after all that walking, we came out across over there. I actually went across down into the parking lot and then walked over here. Through the opening there is the top of the falls. Falls is right there. I believe just on the other side of this gate is the West Ridge Trail that I'm trying to find. I can't be for sure, but I thought I think, I don't know, we're gonna walk it anyways. I'm pretty sure you can walk down the side of this all the way back to the parking area. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, guys, real quick. That is the stats for today's hike. 6.47 miles, a little over 4 hours. We're not quite back to the car yet, but by the time I get back, it'll be probably 6.5 miles, maybe 6.6. So overall, not a bad way to make some miles. Enjoyed getting out and seeing a frozen Amicalola Falls State Park. The only thing left to do, and I think the wife and I are going to try to do it in the spring, or maybe not all the way into spring, but maybe the very beginning of spring, where it's still kind of cool temperatures out, but gets a little warmer during the day. I think we're going to try to get some reservations at the hike-in and we're gonna hike up um, from the top of the falls to the hike in and stay for a night. I think that's the last thing left to do at this particular park, at this particular state park. Not saying I won't ever come back, but because I mean it's close to the house and it's good to get out for a day trip, and the waterfall's always beautiful. So I'll definitely be back, but I don't know how soon. That's gonna wrap it up for this one, guys. I will catch you on the next hike.